My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to a Watch Out for Fireballs Rewind.
Yeah.
Have we discussed branding on this?
No, we have not discussed branding. We have just mostly discussed our anxiety about doing it.
I mostly apologized for it. Rewind is good.
Mm-hmm.
The review.
Flashback.
The time skip. The chrono chunk.
Throwback.
The chronoculon. The Watch Out for Fireballs chronoculon is fired up to bring you a blast from the past.
Yeah. Something or other. Yeah. This is weird because we're going to be introducing again, but it'll be us 7 years ago.
Can you imagine? Fucking 7 years.
7 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 2018.
It was more like 6.
6 years. 2019. So this is the first of not very many, but every once in a while we're going to do a rerun of a rare or premium episode because we're going to a convention or something. Something where we're going to be out of town. This episode, because we're going to be at the Midwest Gaming Classic, by the time you hear this, it's this weekend.
Yes.
So it's tomorrow when you hear this. If you are in the Midwest, please come hang out.
Yeah.
Did I get the date wrong?
No. That's good instinct on that. I was mistaken about when I didn't want you to tell people to go to what I assume will be some kind of like bridal convention.
The expo. Yeah. If anybody wants to have a fun new ringtone, you could cut out the 2 deep, sharp inhales Cole did when you thought I was wrong about the date. And that could be your new ringtone if you want it to be. But yeah, come say hi.
Yes.
This episode is our episode on Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, the action RPG spin-off game for the PS2.
Yes. We did that because the winter RPG that month was Baldur's Gate 2. And we, had to find something premium to throw in on that. So it's a whole ass game we did as the premium. Yeah.
Yeah, we do that with some regularity, actually. We've done that a few times.
Yeah.
Since then, in Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance news, we've had Dark Alliance 3, which nobody liked.
Nope.
And then you can play Dark Alliance 1 and 2 on your phone now.
That is so weird.
It's so fucking weird.
I'm happy about it from a preservation standpoint. Is 2 available on anything but phones now?
No. Like if you want to get I don't think so. If you want to, I think you had to get original software or phone. For it. I could be wrong about that. But
put that shit on GOG.
Yeah, they really should be. It would not play well on phone, which is also funny because surprisingly, the actual old Infinity Engine games are fine on touchscreen. Like it takes some getting used to, but you can do it.
Yeah.
This would not, it'd be Diablo on your phone, but Diablo with mid-2000 sensibilities. It would, I imagine, be very frustrating.
Yeah. I read a plot summary of Dark Alliance 2 because I've never played that. At one point, Baldur's Gate is turned into a city of zombies, and they change the name to whatever the evil overlord is, Evil Overlord's Gate or whatever. Excellent. Yeah.
Take that, Baldur. Very funny.
Yeah.
This is now Granulock, DC. The new capital of the United States.
Yeah.
What else?
I'm trying to think. So we always do things in weird orders, Gary. So
Yes.
we did this before we did an actual Diablo game. So thinking about this in relation to that kind of is strange. I wish I remembered more about Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance to make that comparison, right?
Yeah, it's not it's a fun enough game like all of these games are.
Yeah.
This series, the X-Men Legends, Ultimate Alliance, EverQuest Heroes, whatever the EverQuest spin-off one is
Legends
called.
of Norath, please.
Legend of Norath, Darkstone. This was a thing.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah, Darkstone. Sorry, I thought you said Demonstone, and that is a twin. That is a two towers alike.
There's another text tone. If you want to have the reaction and calls through it as he goes to correct me on something I'm right. The first time, and this time, and you can use one for ingoing and one for outgoing if you want.
Yeah.
To have a field day with this.
Get my ass. Yeah.
This is the most will-coded you've ever been on a show. The diving on a grenade to assume I'm wrong about something.
No, sorry. No, I was, sorry. I was wrong.
That's okay.
I was wrong.
That's okay. It's just funny. I understand. It's fine. And also text tones. Where else are you going to get them? In 2025, we're recording this now. Yeah. I don't remember tons about Baldur's Gate other than the beginning in the sewer with the Beholder.
That's cool.
But there's a whole ass game after that.
Finding out that the leader of not the Thieves Guild, but like the band of thieves on the Sword Coast is like a beholder that I think is from in canon, voiced by Tony J.
He's a gangster beholder. Yeah. I have an action figure of him. I'm looking at him right now. He's huge. It's great. He's just a gigantic orb on a pile of treasure.
I love it.
Here. Since then, it is weird we did these in weird order. We did do X-Men Legends 2, which is the same kind of genre, but team-based. Yeah. We've kind of done the Diablos now, doing like trad Diablo, this kind of action Diablo, and then team Diablo. Yeah.
Now, you recently replayed Ultimate Alliance, right?
I'm still in the middle of it. I'm like, it's longer, again, PlayStation games, PlayStation 2 games, everything's really long. And it's still pretty fun. Like I'm having a good enough time with it. They penalize you for switching team members, which they shouldn't do. Oh no. Because it's fun just to get new voices and stuff. The way they do it is by, you can make a custom team and you get to name them. So of course I named mine Team Discovery Channel. And but switching out your roster costs you like reputation level up points for your team. And that's dumb. That's irritating game design. Like just kind of gotta make them pay for it. Better commit to having Venom, Magneto, Cyclops, and Blade hang out.
It's a fine enough team, but you're giving me this whole toy box full of these Marvel characters. I want to play with them, please.
Yeah, we'll see how they play. And it's real weird because as Diablo clones get more on that action thing, they get simpler. So a lot of the characters are skins. In that, like Deadpool plays very similar to Nightcrawler. Yeah. In that they both teleport, they both have swords. But then every once in a while, somebody can do something completely unique. And it's like, oh, that's really neat. This guy has a special thing that nobody else can do. Like Doctor Strange turns people into boxes. He has like a chance of like killing everything in one hit by turning into a crate. And then crates are full of the currency that you use to level up your character. So like it's this weird risk reward thing. So you want to fuck around with all the toys in the toy box.
Do the coins have like a carving of the person's face, but they're screaming in pain?
That would be great. Yeah. I don't even know, like calling them coins. If you put a gun to my head, I couldn't describe what physical object is trying to be represented by like the fun chits.
Motes. It's
the
particle
the video game.
Yeah,
video game particles you pick up to buy stuff in Ultimate Alliance. But it's pretty fun. And then that got memory hold as well. Speaking of Baldur's Gate 2, Dark Alliance 2. Yeah. Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, they made those remakes that were overpriced. I bought them and now they're gone. Stupid. Dumb. Anywho, we're going to let you get into the episode here. We appreciate your understanding. We're not going to do this all the time. Yeah. So no worries about that. Ordinarily, I wouldn't, in a kind of special episode, I wouldn't do a shout out, but this one is time sensitive. So if you are a marginalized creator of any kind and you would like us to give a shout out to your project or product, please send me an email. Gary at Duckfeed.tv. This month, we'd encourage you to go check out Gamer Mom, the Mom Who Games on Kickstarter. This is a comic by Abby Denton, who is a good poster and funny comedian. This is a full-length color comic with written by Abby and then drawn by Javier Martin Caba. Hopefully I'm pronouncing all of that correctly. And this is a comedy comic. What if Yu-Gi-Oh! Muto was a MILF? This funny, I've seen previews of this. This thing about a mom, it kind of sounds like, what is when they outlawed dancing?
Footloose.
Footloose. It kind of sounds like Footloose, but for gaming, and a mom fighting back against that. The evil head of the school board, Candida Harris, here. There is a preview on Abby's itch.io. That's a long, awkward link, but Abby Denton, ABBY Denton, itch.io, and check it out on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Gamer Mom, the Mom Who Games.
That is a great title. It is Gamer Mom : the Mom Who Games.
Yes.
And the art on this is really charming.
Yeah, it's really cool looking.
Yeah.
So check it out. That Kickstarter runs until the 19th of April.
Yeah.
For us, you've already done the stuff. Probably. Maybe you haven't, or you'd already have heard this episode.
Yeah.
You maybe have. If you want to support us, patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. Come see us this weekend.
Please.
If you are hearing this live at the Midwest Gaming Classic, and ratings, reviews on Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict.
Yeah. If you like us talking about Baldur's Gate and Forgotten Realms stuff, we are just wrapping up the season of Real Lich Hours about Baldur's Gate 3. And WoF fans have something to look forward to in season 2.
Yes. And Baldur's Gate fans, if you haven't patronized us, listen to that. There's 66 episodes, 66 hours.
Yeah.
Just bam. Right there waiting for you.
Yeah. Big thanks to our producer, Gwen, who didn't produce the original version of this episode, but we'll put this one together. And we still want to thank her for producing other stuff, too.
Yeah, and we're going to use the way this is produced and the way that was produced and compare them together as a part of a performance review. That's not true.
That sounds like death. I don't want to do performance reviews.
Second by second comparison. Just kidding. But big thanks to Gwen.
Yes, big thanks to Gwen.
And here goes. My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Rouse.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And hark, people of Rerun, this week, rather, we are, this fortnight, yes, we are talking about Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance.
What a confident hark.
Yep.
To follow, to precede such a stumble. Good Sarah.
Yes. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, an action RPG developed by Snowblind Studios and published by Black Isle Studios for the PS2, GameCube, and Xbox in 2001.
Yeah. This is our premium episode for December. We had an extra week.
Yeah.
And we didn't want our premium episode to be like, hey, here's some Dragon Age DLCs.
Yeah, that would not have been enough, we think. So we decided to throw something in, to throw in a new one.
Yeah, and this actually forms a really nice, not only does this kind of match up with WRPG month, but it also forms kind of a nice contrast comparison with Dragon Age 2.
Right.
Both in terms of like wave after wave of reinforcement-based combat and setting kind of differences. This is a hack and slash dungeon crawler. Takes place from an overhead perspective. Think of like a Diablo-like. Or if you hearken back to Watch Out for Fireballs number 50,
number 75.
Episode 75, thank you, on X-Men Legends 2.
Yeah. This kind of was the first of that kind of game on the PS2. Like prior to this, you would have dungeon crawlers like, say, was it Darkstone or what have you?
Darkstone.
Yeah.
We bring up Darkstone a lot on this show.
Darkstone, for being a $10 budget title, has a weirdly big impact. It has a large footprint, I think, on this network. We're not referring to Demon Stone, the other Forgotten Realms tappa-tappa game. But
also good.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but
like,
we all bought Darkstones for $10. So,
but yeah, this kind of ended up being the basis for like basically any game that was kind of like this in that generation. Like this engine ended up being used for Champions of Norath, and it ended up being used for such illustrious games as Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. This was
brought
just
to you by Balls.
This is just like a kind of game. The Baldur's Gate console leg the family tree. Yeah.
It's amazing that we got out of Ball's Shadow as an energy drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real risky gambit for them to just be like, here, drink Balls.
Yeah.
And they came up with like Balls root beer at some point.
Okay.
And it was like energy drink root beer, and it tasted just like root beer.
Uh-huh.
Like I would occasionally get one when I worked at the grocery store when I first moved out to Portland.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like working all day and want an energy drink, as you do when you're working a shitty service retail job.
Right.
And it was like, reach for a Balls.
Mm-hmm.
Reach for a bottle of Balls. And every time I did it, I was like, Fallout, Brotherhood of Steel. Those ads worked on me. Not that, Fallout has a popular soda associated with it or anything.
No. It really came in and filled the vacuum in that universe, in that continuity. Yeah.
It's the only soda that survived the apocalypse.
Yeah. And like
Balls.
Balls kind of ended up like weirdly becoming this real obnoxious like gamer identity drink too. You know, like in a way that like Game Fuel would eventually supplant it afterwards. But like there would be web comics where like, don't talk to me until I've had my balls, and you would like only get it at like Micro Center and stuff like that.
There's also the bottle was like ribbed in a way that was really obscene. It was like the French tickler of drinks.
It was designed by H.R. Giger.
Yeah, it's just like you'd buy it from a vending machine in a strip club. Like it had a lot of bumps
on the way out.
It. Yeah, like a lot of bumps. Yeah, on a bottle of Balls. So this game takes place in and around Baldur's Gate, which is on the Sword Coast of Faerun in the Forgotten Realms.
We're home, baby.
We're home, baby. If I'm gonna have generic fantasy shit, let it be this.
Yeah. Just makes sense to me, and I admit it's because I know it. Don't give me Eberron like that. No, that's not what I want.
Eberron's lousy anyway. Eberron's full of like magic flying trains and shit.
Right. Get a little bit too close to the sun with that, but this is comfortable. This is the second edition setting, although I think it's also the 5th edition setting. The Sword Coast Guide, the one that came out here recently, is actually really good. That's a good source book.
That's cool.
Yeah.
They brought it back. Fuck off, Greyhawk. This adventure starts when you're mugged on the streets of Baldur's Gate. And you have to track down the thieves to get your stuff back, but it uncovers a dark alliance to destroy the city.
Yes. And what I like about this is you go from kind of a basic newbie campaign, first level, fighting rats in a basement, quite literally, up to, like taking down an ancient swordsman who should be dead. Yeah, and dragons and stuff like that. Yeah.
Has a very satisfying power arc that kind of shadows D&D. Like the relationship of this game to D&D will be something we'll talk about, which is really, really interesting. Like this is a really strong argument for like using the iconography of D&D. Like one of the things that's been floating around in my head a lot lately in tabletop discourse, because there's been a big backlash against D&D. Like a lot of people who are just like, there are other games out there. This is not the best game. This should not be the default. But D&D is more of a setting almost.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of settings within D&D, but it's a flavor.
Yeah.
It's you do Dungeons and Dragons because you want that iconography and you want that feeling. And there are probably other games that also evoke that feeling, but nobody who is choosing to play D&D is saying like this is the best tabletop system for what we want.
Right.
Or very few people, I imagine. Like they're either ignorant and let them be happy in their ignorance, let them revel as babes, or they just want that flavor and they're willing to put up with a substandard system.
Right. There's a substandard system that is really good at telling a very narrow kind of like band of stories that just happen to be comforting again.
And happen to be on display in this game.
Yeah, happen to be on display in this game. So you can play as one of 3 characters, a dwarven fighter, a human archer, or an elven sorceress. And although each of them have their own kind of specialties, you're going to be engaging with basically every system as any of these, right? You're going to be doing melee combat. You're going to be using a bow, probably. Even for the non-sorceress, their abilities act like spells. You cast from a mana pool and things like that. Kind of the difference ends up being in the skills and stuff.
Yeah, and the characters are a little closer to each other than I remembered, actually.
Yeah,
the first time I played this. Melee combat is getting close, and you tappa-tappa to fight guys.
I'm ever so pissed.
You become these realms are ever so forgotten. You draw a bow, and this can be aimed precisely. You get a little aiming line, you get on, and then magic and magic-like skills are chosen and deployed with a focus cost or a mana cost. You have a little stamina meter kind of thing.
Yeah,
that does this.
Your stamina and health can be restored at any time. This is like right on the trigger buttons, which is funny. So you can just like, okay, I'm gonna heal tank through this and pull the trigger on my potion gun. Wisely, this effect is not instant. It's not slow. It's not like eating food in Fallout or what have you. But like you can be killed in the process of healing. Like the meter fills up once you chug the potion.
Yeah, and this is your standard Diablo red and blue potion.
Yes,
kind of shit here. Some items in the environment are physics objects, and you jump on them. You have a jump button. There is platforming both to like get up onto platforms to get treasure and to clear gaps from time to time. Very weird. It's the only one of these I know that has that. Well, that's not true. X-Men Legends does it from time to time as well. It's just rarer because you can fly.
It's so modal. Weirdly, like this completely gives way after a certain point. After the first part of chapter 2, you're not really dealing with verticality at all anymore.
Well, the game kind of like I like the, spoiler, like I like this game and everything, but I do think the back half of it is less fun than the first half.
Agreed.
The first half of this is pretty fun. So each character has different stats and skills that emphasize, lend themselves to strategies. And these will make sense if you've played role-playing games.
Yeah.
These characters are archetypes more than anything. Weirdly enough, like you're not super locked into them. One of the ways you can do this. So we have Cromlech, our dwarven fighter, who is coded as a fighter, but you can play the archer as a fighter because his class is, compatible with that. So you can just play him with a different stat spread, but play him entirely melee if you want to. So Cromlech is durable. His skills make his basic attacks more powerful, and they clear areas around him to kind of create space.
Yeah, neither of us played as him this time, but I have played as him in the past.
Yeah. Familiar with Cromlech. And then we got Vaughn, my boy, who is meant to fight with a bow, but you'll end up spending, roughly 2/3 of your time with melee, or half your time with melee, regardless.
Because enemies run up to you, like that's kind of their deal, is to get close into distance. So like
everything rushes you.
Yeah, you will use whatever your range skill is as they're making their movement, and then go default to melee when they're up close.
Yep. And then there are certain enemies that have like different kinds of resistances to that as well. But his skills allow him to fire different amounts of arrows or different kinds of elemental arrows. And get additional damage just on his arrows, like +1, +2, etc.
Yeah. Vaughn is who you played as. I played as Adriana the Sorceress. Physically weak, has a low health pool, but her skills are actually kind of this wide gamut of spells from D&D. So you start out with Magic Missile, you start with Burning Hands. So Burning Hands, Magic Missile, kind of up through Meteor Storm. And these end up getting pretty useful, and you have to make some choices with this because you're not going to get on one playthrough enough skill points to be able to get everything. High level skills require a lot of points to put into them. So like if you're going to go for, Meteor Rain or Meteor Storm, then you're going to have to pass up like Autoluke's Icy Sphere or something like that.
Yeah. And Autoluke does not take that standing down.
No. It actually takes it really personally.
Yeah. The way that skill points work in this is linear. You gain 1 for each level that you're at. So on level 1, you gain 1 skill point. On level 2, you gain 2. On level 4, you gain 4, etc. But they also scale up in cost. Right. There are certain universal skills that every character has. So faster health or mana regen. The health one is like Iron Stomach or something.
Yeah. It's like it's intestinal fortitude.
Yeah. But mostly you're going to be doing these to unlock new abilities, of which there are tons. For any of the characters, really. Like the Sorceress has the most.
Right.
The Archer has the second most, and then Cromlech only has a couple of abilities. But there aren't tons of them. This is not a complicated skill tree in any sense. It's a big list of little places to put dots.
Right. Yeah. So skill points can importantly here be saved between levels. So if you if you have your eyes on a more expensive skill, this is a good way to kind of jump the power curve by denying yourself an immediate upgrade for this level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And every 4 levels, you gain an attribute point, which you put into your 6 main, D&D stats. And the game tells you what these will affect. Right. There are dump stats in this, depending on your class, absolutely. But and there are kind of universally useful points as well.
Yeah. You're going to, because this is the kind of game it is, the dungeon crawl, you're going to be finding loot. A lot of this loot is going to be gear. Sometimes it's just money. But you can buy some gear as well. Armor is going to be most of what you find because, there are different pieces of it. It's pretty basic. It falls into like different weight classes, mostly with +1 to +5 modifiers. Something that's important is, wearing heavy armor as a non-fighter class doesn't affect your abilities.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. They decide not to go with that trade-off.
Right.
The major trade-off.
Yeah.
You also get like accessories and kind of magic items, but they just affect stats.
Right.
So it's like plus defense, plus dexterity, etc. Weapons have different kind of classes, and they'll have like Diablo style modifiers. So elemental damage, for example, to them. There's also a couple of weird ones like disruption or of defense. That will give you, benefits to non-combat.
Yeah. Interestingly, there are serrated versions, which, most weapons will quote their damage as a range because it's randomized every time you hit. The serrated ones actually just always deal a base level of damage. So you give up kind of your potential for a maximum damage for consistency of damage.
Yeah, which is a neat trade-off.
Yeah.
And you're doing all kinds of that, like, early D&D min-maxing where it's like, is something that does 1d4 plus 1, damage more valuable to me than something that does 1d6.
Right.
It has like a slightly lower range, but a slightly higher floor. There's the kind of like really pretty accurate modeling of that stuff. Like one of the things about D&D is there's like a billion different types of swords that do 1d8 damage. And that is true here as well.
Yeah. You get your scimitar and you get your long sword and all that.
Broadsword.
Yeah. As for like the loop of this and talking about the gear several times per level, you're gonna get full up. You're gonna reach your encumbrance limit determined by your by your strength. For me, that was very, very little, so I ended up making a lot of trips. You can pick up recall potions that will warp you back to your hub, so you can sell, restock, and maybe upgrade.
Yep. One of my favorite innovations in this genre is when Torchlight 2 gave you the animal, like the pet that would just go sell all your stuff for you, which I always wanted. Like, the shopkeeper's just there, and then like a parakeet like walks up with a backpack and he just knows what to do.
Have you seen the video of the penguin in Japan that does that?
No.
It's a little penguin. It was like an early viral video. Little penguin wearing a backpack. The owner would
I'm in.
would put money in the backpack and send the penguin down to the store for just some items or whatever, and
it's like my mom used to do with me with cigarettes.
And the shopkeep would take the money and put the stuff in there, give the penguin a fish as a tip, and then the penguin would take the stuff back.
That's great. What a penguin.
I love it.
Yeah.
Kicking in, contributing at the house, running errands. I would die for that penguin.
Your pocket's a fucking loafer. So you get these potions. They're fairly plentiful. I didn't end up finding myself hard up for these. Just a weird little trivia. The biggest difference between this and the GBA port is it doesn't have that. And it's a big deal. Like,
sounds miserable.
You just have to, there are more ways to get, I played it when I first got GBA emulation.
Okay.
Just to fuck around with it. There are more ways to get back to town.
Okay.
But there's not the warp thing.
Weird.
So, this game is extremely linear. There are 3 acts. Each act has a hub area with NPCs to speak to and shop with. The NPCs are surprisingly verbose.
Yeah.
In this, it's weird. Like, this game doesn't skimp on production values.
Not at all.
In a way that I really would expect it to.
This is a note from later, but I was shocked at how many recognizable voice actors there are.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like a who's who.
yeah, even like right out the gate, like your first quest giver is Jennifer Hale. The main villain of Act 1 is Tony J, and NPC is just Cam Clark. I was like, holy shit, that's Cam Clark.
Leonardo the Turtle Cleric just shows up at one point. Like,
I was like, oh shit, that's Dwight Schultz, that's Kevin Michael Richardson, Jim Cummings, John Rhys Davies. Okay. And like the monster noises were done by Frank Welker. So somebody knew a casting director from Hollywood Voiceover Productions to get this thing staffed up. It's just nuts to me.
Super nuts. It's really surprising.
Yeah.
A lot of these characters show up related to side quest.
Yeah.
These also fall off in the back half of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this is a weird, like I didn't read anything about this having a super troubled development where like it feels like the back half was rushed, but there's definitely less incident in the back half. These almost always are just you find a thing when you're just scouring the dungeon anyway, and you give it to the new person in the hub. And they tell you a little sad story and give you money or something. Basically.
I was very surprised to remember that there was an actual dialogue system in this where you would like hear a story and ask questions. It's nice that there's an escape hatch. Like when you roll up on an enemy, like a boss, you can just say, shut up, I'm here to fight. And then you go. But it's nice that it's here, especially because, you know, the joy of being in the setting is, you know, getting this detail and having these honestly pretty tired stories wash over you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is a pretty generic game.
Yeah.
Gotta say, like, this does not, like, we're positive on this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 2020 game where we just want to, bask in making progress and watching numbers go up. Like, it's not like I'm saying like, this is the secret Baldur's Gate 3. Like, this is, an incredible gaming experience or anything like that. No, it's fun.
Yeah. It's like, it's 10 hours of tappa-tappa and like selling stuff and trying to decide, do I want to buy this now? Or do I buy some potions and come back later where I can afford it more easily? Like, I just want to make those kinds of decisions.
There's micro decisions that like this type of video games economies are made out of. Yeah. And it's before, I mean, this is kind of shooting ahead to, summation stuff, but it's kind of before I feel like the kind of looter shooter stuff came out and every enemy was a huge pinata of different color coded stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's a manageable version of that, which I really like.
Yeah.
There aren't so many adjectives. It's pretty easy at a glance to tell if something is better than what you already have.
Yeah.
It's
like, so having played, not very many, but like, I fired up a Borderlands 2. Like I'm a little bit aware of like what looter shooters are doing right now. Like this feels much less engineered than those.
Oh yeah.
Like, a modern game like that, especially one that primarily like gets money from its publisher by, active user KPIs. They have people who are here to optimize every single one of the interactions like it's a casino, right? This feels really unoptimized in a satisfying way that like, I don't know, I would much rather interact with this than something that was designed to keep me in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this game also has a couch co-op. So you can do 2 players at once. Each co-op game needs its own kind of save slot, which is a little weird, but this would be really fun on co-op. I've never tried it and would have liked to, I think.
I've only ever done one of these in online co-op. Champions of Norath added that. And that's fun. Like, that's a good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I did Ultimate Alliance with Brayton when we were roommates.
Oh, cool.
And that was really fun.
Yeah.
After you beat the main campaign, there's a challenge dungeon called the Gauntlet that you use to unlock extreme difficulty. And if you beat that, you get to play as Driz Duerden.
That's our boy.
Yeah, the original boy. Drizzt.
Yeah. I've read a shitload of his books. Don't talk trash. Come on.
I'm not talking trash. It's a weird thing to name a character.
Yeah, it's fair.
You can't say it.
No, you can't.
It's not sayable. Some of those words, it's not sayable.
Yeah, no, it's three consonants in a row there. Yeah. But yeah, you get to play as that. I'm curious about that. I wish that there was just a cheat code you could put in and you wouldn't have to. Is there? Oh, well, I didn't look. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
You can play him as an early. It's kind of disappointing. He doesn't have has no new abilities. His abilities are mostly, there's what there was Mostly the same as they're just pulled from other characters. He has a couple spells, has a couple abilities from everyone else. The big kind of thing with him is he starts with really overpowered equipment.
Yeah.
His famous swords.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tingle and the Slicer or whatever. Frost Handle and the Stingy.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
The Stinger. Yeah.
So I don't know. I already unplugged the system. I already put the disc away.
Yeah,
It's fine. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'll get to play as Driz later. It's fine. So this game is very pretty, especially for its time. It was remarkable, actually, like getting into this and seeing how detailed the character models are. The facial animations, like when characters are talking to you, are really high fidelity, which helps, and also like the environments and stuff. The water is really like, you can tell that they agonized over making it look good. Like this is a really like high production value showpiece game, especially for as early in the generation as it was.
Yeah. Yep. And when you read like reviews about this and such, this is the main thing people talk about.
Yeah.
This was like a tour de force, to use that phrase.
Yeah. It's mixed bag.
People really liked it. Yeah. Mixed bag, for fans of the genre.
Yeah.
The female characters though are all come and play with me, my lord.
Yes.
Like, you don't want your girlfriend to catch you playing this.
Weird. Just a strange decision. It is like the marketing for EverQuest, not the actual game of EverQuest.
I mean, EverQuest is pretty hot, dude.
I mean, like actually, like the in-game models, like the armor was all very modest. Like if you looked at the boxes, you would think it was.
Well, but if you
what
read between the lines, like
okay, no,
think what was like out under there.
Okay,
it's like a little treasure.
Hey, Gary, can you never refer to what's under somebody's armor as their little treasure ever again, please?
Treasure, just catch the little treasure.
Yeah,
just catch the little treasure.
This just reminds me, this is the same team. Snowblind Studios would lean into this as part of their thing before Champions of Norath came out. One of the big pre-order bonuses that they had for it was a pinup calendar of the girls of Norath or whatever. Just real, just 3D rendered ladies in centerfold poses. Strange. Very, very strange to me.
God, the girls of Norath.
Yeah,
that's a good sentence.
Yeah,
that's a good phrase. I think the studio also made like the Justice League game that was like this.
Oh,
that's like one of the rare, like or not rare, but like a weird entry in this genre. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the idea to bring Baldur's Gate to console is old. There was a port of Baldur's Gate 1 for the PlayStation that you can find leaks of, but was never officially released. But this is, the idea of Baldur's Gate being one of the biggest hits on the PC, wanting to capitalize on another market, is something that they worked on for quite a while. They attempted to bring it to Dreamcast, Baldur's Gate 1. But then Sega pulled out of the console market, so they couldn't do that. And then Interplay decided, let's make a game specifically for consoles.
Right. And they brought in Snowblind Studios to do it. Prior to this, they'd only done console racing games or what have you. So I don't know why specifically they brought them in. Snowblind wanted to make a game to showcase what they could do with the PS2. And all of the early showings, like those reviews that you mentioned, talked about this primarily from a visual standpoint.
Yeah. Yep. So a lot of the kind of development story when you look around with this game is about how they solve these graphical problems like aliasing. So it's a lot of that stuff that it's not going to age super well. Like it doesn't look as impressive today, even though it does look impressive for the time. And it's not a bad looking game at all. But the really neat thing that they had was a 3D a fully 3D world that rotated. Like you could rotate this as you moved around, and moved around really smoothly.
Yes,
in these huge environments
with lots of enemies too. Like that cannot be undersold. Cannot be oversold.
Big deal at the time.
Yeah. Interplay wanted to develop a PC port to bring Baldur's Gate back home, which makes sense to me. You have things like Diablo, and they contracted CD Projekt to do this, but the publisher went bankrupt before very much progress was made.
Interplay.
Yes. Yeah. Interplay went bankrupt. So there is a sequel that continues the story from a different point of view. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2 came out in 2004. That was developed by Black Isle itself.
It's pretty rare.
Yeah.
So if you're at game shows and stuff, like I picked up a copy of Dark Alliance 1 at some point back in the past, and it's not that hard to find. 2 is pretty hard to find. I've never played it. I couldn't find it when it came out. Even like not when it came out, but when I was like in my mid 20s, wasn't able to find it. And then, but it's supposed to be a lot better actually, which is cool because this game is good. I would like to play it at some point. The fact that, Black Isle developed that sequel was a little bit complicated because they used the engine that Snowblind created for the first game, and Snowblind did not like this. They were cranky about it.
Yes.
We have the market cornered on console. Norath likes.
Yeah. They, went into lawsuits for this. But we know that both of these companies are out of business. Lose. Yes. Black Isle itself was in the planning process for doing a third Dark Alliance game. Again, they went out of business. And Snowblind themselves would take their engine, and they would go to make the kind of spiritual successor to this, the 2 Champions of Norath games, which take place in the world of EverQuest. I have played at least the first one of those. That's fun. It's just it's not Forgotten Realms, right?
Yeah. This is one of the nostalgia will never die. A modern revival of this. So Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance was revealed at the Game Awards last year, 2019. Has the main cast of the Legend of Drist, so it's going to be more Drist focused, which is probably smart. People are just like, God, I cannot wait to play more as Vaughn. What happens to Vaughn's story?
I'm a Vaughn Stan. They mean Stan? That's how we say it.
Yeah. I ship Vaughn and the barkeeper.
Yeah.
So the subtext is there.
Yeah, but like you get to play as like Drist and Wolfgar and the dwarf, whatever his name is, and Caddy Bree. Looks like the trailer for it was pretty embarrassing because it was like new metal, but I don't know, like a modern take on this sounds fun to me. This was delayed to 2021. That's unfortunate. When we put this on the calendar, it was originally supposed to be out this winter, but sometimes things are not meant to be.
Yeah, and it's okay. Game delays aren't a bad thing.
Yeah. There's one other thing. I didn't put this in the notes, but I don't want it to sound like we're talking around it. This was a Chris Avellone game.
Yes.
Dark Alliance was. Yes.
Yeah.
You can kind of see his writing and see his fingerprints in the writing in a couple of different places, also in the amount of writing, and it's unfortunate that kind of needs to be brought up as like a kind of thing.
A disclaimer.
Right now. Disclaimer. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like some of his best work or anything like that. Like this does not make me feel as conflicted as like when eventually we do Tides of Numenera and we have to talk about his really good companion he designed.
Yes.
It's like, that's a really interesting companion.
Yeah.
This isn't like, contributing to like the apologia, apologia for this.
Yeah.
So
it wouldn't be appropriate, but anyway. So, let's get into it.
Yeah, with Act 1. This is a 3-act game. And if a tavern appears in Act 1, you better believe it won't fire by Act 3.
Okay.
Check out his Faithful Watchhound. Does not play here.
Yeah.
We start off Act 1, we're at the Elf Song Tavern.
Right.
And we get a little cutscene where we arrive at Baldur's Gate at night. Our character arrives at the city for the first time, and you get mugged and lose all your money.
Yeah, and like the thieves are like super distinctive looking. Like one of them is clearly a villain because he's wearing spikes everywhere.
Yeah.
They're about to kill you, but some guards are coming along. So you get rescued and they say, oh, the thieves are getting more and more bold every day. You might be able to learn who is doing this by going to the Elf Song Inn nearby. And you head over there. The air here is filled with the ghostly sound of a singing elvish spirit. And also there is a stuffed beholder above the above the mantle.
Huge goal. Like if I ever have a mantle, can you imagine a stuffed beholder?
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
But then you have to like find and kill a beholder.
Well, or hire someone to.
Okay.
You know, I got Vaughn on speed dial getting this shit done. I was just thinking about like whether you'd have to like scoop out the eyes and replace them with glass eyes so there wasn't any magic
Yeah.
remaining. You know, but those eyes will fetch a hefty purse.
Well, of course, that's how you defray the cost of the preservation. Yeah.
Yeah, we got this planned. But nice little inn. We talked to the Jennifer Hale barkeep, Elith, who is very come and play, my lord. She explains that an elvish spirit sings for a lost hero, giving the tavern its name. You can ask about the beholder and stuff. You can ask about a lot of flavor stuff in this. It has a more robust dialogue system than, say, like Fallout 4.
Yes.
Which
is crazy.
The
you can ask about the thieves, and she explains that, you know, there are multiple thieves guilds in Baldur's Gate. There's a new one that has started up, and they have kind of started this war with the old one. Like the game done changed once this new element showed up.
Yeah. They use the sewers to get around, and there's actually an entrance to the sewers in the cellar. But we need to actually go clear out the cellar.
So
we can open the gate down there. It's full of rats because it's classic adventuring. There's another patron, Eloth, who gives us the key. And then on the way out, there's another patron named Nebish, who is a drunk. And if you want to enable him by finding him wine and letting him be served after the establishment has cut him off, he does a side quest.
Yeah.
For, you know, it's very surprising there's one bottle of wine down in the wine cellars of this tavern.
Yeah.
It's a quest object.
Oh, that is pretty good. I mean, it's an endless bottle of wine. Like they don't need to have like a store.
The elemental plane of wine. Yeah.
Beats still my heart. Yeah.
Endless decanter of wine.
So you get on into the cellars, and this is a proper dungeon. It's bigger than any cellar ought to be, but that is fine, right? And your goal is to wipe out all the rats. There are about 25 of them. Yeah, and it's not like you're hunting them. You're just going to the end and killing every one of the rats that runs up and makes a beeline for you. It's not exactly hard. Yeah.
No. You get a little counter at some point telling you how many you have left. You know, these are very easy when you return. And this is just introducing you to the loop. Yeah. When you come back, she's like, hey, did you see Eloth down there? He went after you to check on you, and he hasn't come back yet. So she gives you some gold to kind of equip yourself and the sewer gate key to go look for Eloth.
Right.
And as we head down, the rats have given way to kobolds and spiders. Kobolds are interesting. They are the first ranged enemy, and there'll be a couple of little ambushes they'll set up, or like areas where, you know, ranged companions will cover their melee fighters. And a couple of specific in this, once we get deeper into the sewers, a couple of specific encounters with them that are kind of cool. And then spiders who inflict poison.
Right.
I don't know if I just lucked out. I did not get poisoned. I did end up with antidotes, but I did not get poisoned by these first guys. I did later when I found the pet spiders of the thieves.
Right. I got poisoned, but like it just goes away. You don't really need to do much of anything with it. It's just like a slow DOT effect on you.
No, maybe I did get poisoned, didn't notice it.
You just turn you turn green for a few seconds, and a little bit of health drains. It's okay.
Sense.
Yeah. So we're continuing. We're looking for Eloth. When you get to the door to the sewers, there's a cutscene here. One of the thieves who knocked you out is talking to an orc in front of Eloth's cell. So Eloth has been captured.
Yeah. Yep. The lieutenant talks to this other thief. They brought something for Lord Xantum, our first mention of Lord Xantum. Lieutenant directs the thief to the levels below the sewers where the temple can be found.
Right.
So we're getting these little cutscenes to show what the villain is up to, just to create intrigue.
Yeah. Back in the tavern, there's a new person there named Ipswich he mentions that his brother's tomb is in the Temple of Ilmater. That's the god of suffering, if I'm correct. Yes. Saying like, hey, I meant to go down there, but with everything that's going on, I can't do it. If you can find my family's medallion, go ahead and bring it back to me. Kind of letting us know a little bit ahead of time that we're going to be kind of breaking into the catacombs of the Temple of Ilmater.
Yeah, so we'll be. Then my brother's the one you'll be defiling later.
Yeah. You got my permission,
so you'll recognize him. Like
we have kind of the same jaw shape. Yeah.
The skeleton you kill who's wearing the medallion is my brother. Bring back the skeleton and the medallion. So we're down in the sewers now, and this is a big step up in the difficulty curve. This is where the kobolds have like fortified themselves in. There's defensive positions and there'll be like huge lines of them all using ranged attacks against you. Where you have to kind of dodge around and you have a block in this as well. A block button that is actually pretty handy, but takes a while to get used to because it's not modal. Like you don't hold it. You press and hold it and you'll block for like a second. So it's kind of a timed block system, but it's a really primitive version of it. But it makes a big difference, especially if you're using a shield.
Right.
In this. So that's how I kind of got around these guys.
It's more useful if you're fighting a large enemy who gets locked into an animation for an attack. For these, like I found for ranged enemies, like they fired too quickly for me to like get between waves of volleys. Right.
What I would do is I would try to kind of circle around.
Yeah.
And most of the range attacks would miss me, and the ones that were closest to me would hit, but I would block those and then close the difference to kind of flank.
Yeah. With the ones behind cover, like I pretty much decided, okay, if I try to go around, they're going to have sight on me the entire way. I'm going to run directly at them and jump over the barricade and fight them directly there. Which is a ballsy gambit when you're a sorceress with very little HP.
Balls.
Ball. The throne of ballsy gambits. Yes.
Yeah. Throat throne. Whoa.
What? Throat throne of ball?
Did you say the throat throne?
No, I didn't say the throat throne. I said the throne.
Oh, I could have swore you said the throat throne.
No.
Ball. I was like, whoa.
Yuck.
Yeah, super yuck, dude.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't say that. I wouldn't say that. Come on.
I know. That's why it was so weird.
If anything, I stuttered when I said throne, so maybe that came across. Anyway, no.
The kobolds are intense.
Yes. It's worth like something that I like about this game is how plentiful the save points are. There's no auto save. Like this game is not going to checkpoint for you, which bit me in the ass a couple of times. But like generally there's a save point every few rooms, which is good. Or there's a save point like when the path branches, which is good. They're very kind with that. I appreciate it. And that continues like basically through the end of the game.
Yeah. The other thing I really liked that was really kind was that I got a heads up that there was going to be a tent city here because I checked on the Baldur's Gate next door. And if a tent city starts up, everything
it's a real problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. But really we're dealing with the bugbear foreman here. This big, kind of like the demi-human, not quite an orc, not quite an ogre, but oh man.
Yeah.
He's got a key around his neck. So we know that we need to kill him. And this is our first boss fight, where it's just a big guy who is slow and has bigger attacks with tons of little guys. At its worst, the boss fights in this game can become like, kind of like early Resident Evil boss fights.
Yeah.
Where they're like wars of attrition and just healing. For this guy, like I ran away a lot from him. And the only way I was able to really get distance because he could keep pace with me pretty well was by taking advantage of the fact that he corners really shittily.
Yeah.
The AI in this game has a really hard time with corners. So if you just make a lot of turns, eventually they'll get pretty far behind you.
It's like running away from a Komodo dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. Very similar.
Yeah. A relatable situation. If you're running away from a Komodo dragon, make lots of turns because they're faster on straightaways.
Yeah.
Same thing with bugbears.
You should consider what you did in the first place to piss him off.
Yeah. The eggs are tasty, but not that tasty. Come on.
Yeah. So after we beat him, we have the key off his neck and we can get Ethan or what's his name?
Eloth. There we go. Yeah.
Eloth, yeah. Eloth from a cell. He used another entrance to find the sewers because he felt guilty for not coming for help. Right. So he did not follow you. He went down through the actual sewers in the city.
Yeah. Just popped up one of the manuals, which you can do. Like you do end up getting these little shortcuts back up to the street level of Baldur's Gate. There's nothing to do up there other than walk back to the tavern. But
do the thing your potion would do.
Yes.
It's like if you want to lose weight, you take the stairs instead of the elevator.
Right.
Like that's basically what this is.
So Eloth will give you the key that he picked up off the foreman, but he does not have a good feeling about the kind of things that the New Thieves Guild is up to. He says, hey, there was this messenger who was carrying something that seemed pretty bad. We need to get after them and find out what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. So you continue. The next level adds water elements, which is just aesthetic, but looks real good. And then there are also green slimes, which are ranged enemies.
Right.
They spit globs at you. And then gelatinous cubes.
Yay!
Yay! Just big old dorky Jello cubes. It's funny because gelatinous cubes have a very specific dungeon ecology.
Yeah.
They're shaped like cubes, not just arbitrarily.
No, it's to fill up hallways.
They're shaped like they're passages, but they're always just found out in the open.
Yep.
Here, I felt really bad for them.
Yeah.
I want to get them back to a hallway.
It's a little bit like, if you walk outside of your hotel room in your underwear to get something real quick and then the door locks behind you. I think that's the situation all of these gelatinous cubes guys are in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor they have the key card back in their room deep within themselves. They can't get it.
Yep. Well, they don't have arms to reach in. They can't service it out. They need you. They're trying to ask you, hey, little help here, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Yeah, little help. My frisbee's on the roof.
Also, I am the roof.
I am the roof. The frisbee is on my roof. But yeah, these things are not that interesting or new to fight, but yay.
But yes,
classic D&D monster.
It's the thing that I like. I guess so. I was reading about Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2. They would add rust monsters, which apparently would just destroy your equipment.
Well, that sucks.
That's awful. Maybe don't realistic or faithfully bring that aspect in, please. If you're gonna bring the classic monsters in. But here, kind of down in the water level, you're trying to go to these different cisterns where you can flip switches to open the path forward. It's just kind of a more branchy kind of dungeon down here, fighting most of these slimes. You say that the water is mostly aesthetic. I found that slimes would hide in the water, they would be hidden under the reflective sheen. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did not notice being ambushed by the slimes, but it's also been a little bit. I played the beginning of this game really early, and then kind of poop socked the rest of it. So it's been a little bit since I did that.
Yeah.
At a certain point, once you do this, you get all those levers. You're down to the crypt,
right?
Which is connected to the sewer.
It
seems bad.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. And
kind of disrespectful.
Disrespectful, and then also might infect the water.
Yeah, a little bit.
Either way, you're either going to get corpses or poop. Poops on your corpses or corpses on your poop. Neither way is good.
Goop on your Grinch. Yeah.
You might get goops on your Grimps. Yeah, the Grinch.
Hey, Gary, here's the
Grimp. You're a mourn one, Mr. Grimp.
Yeah.
Grimp. Gramp. Grump.
Yeah.
When you do this, you get a little cutscene where our lieutenant, our guy with the spikes, whose name is Karn, is approaching Lord Xantum.
Yes, Lord Xantum is he's off screen at this point.
Yeah, there's a big reveal as to what Lord Xantum is. Karn sent his best man to place the orb orbs are in play in the center of the Chamber of Ashes, and Xantum wants Ethan for Eloth for questioning, and is furious to learn that he has escaped.
Right. So Karn is in trouble.
Yep.
Yeah. You're ambushed by skeletons immediately when you get down here, right when the area loads. They do this a couple of times. The skeletons are mostly like kobolds. They're tougher melee enemies. Some of them will be archers. Kind of one of the big differences is when you kill a skeleton or a zombie, sometimes their upper half will keep crawling to attack you, and they're harder to hit because they're smaller.
Yeah. I don't think you can hit the lower half or the upper half with range attacks.
No.
And the enemies here move slower than the enemies above. So this really felt like this was made for ranged characters.
Yeah.
Like I was glad I was not playing as the dwarf as like Crumlock in this, because it was really easy to just like pepper enemies. This is also kind of when you play as Vaughn, like the arrow economy starts becoming a part of the game, like putting money into extra arrows.
Arrows are so heavy, man.
Yeah. Then we get a feat with him where they weigh half.
Oh, okay.
You get a magical quiver.
That makes more sense.
No. After you fight some skells through the crypts, we run into Fayed, who is just Cam Clark doing the Cam Clark voice, who goes on at length.
Yeah.
It says like you should run before it changes you. He is a priest of Ilmater, and he was tending to the bodies, and he found the orb placed in the Chamber of Ashes. So that's what caused the dead to rise up.
Yeah. Apparently, like hundreds of people died after this orb was placed. That is not clear. That was only revealed through dialogue later on. Cam Clark explains the priests have this mechanism for locking down the crypts. He has actually, activated this in order to get further. You need to like put these 3 urns back on their pressure plates. You have to go and fix that. Thankfully, they're not like spread out. It's just in one chamber that you have to like push physics objects around, which is good. But you're going to get there eventually. But that's kind of your
micro
goal.
task.
Yeah.
As we move further in, the skeletons and zombies are a little bit tougher. There are a lot more archers in play. We can also do Ipswitch's side quest here by finding the skeleton looks like his brother's medallion. When you go back and give this to him, it's really good to do this because you'll get a magic mace.
This is a really good item. I ended up using this basically for the rest of the chapter.
Yeah, it's really great. Yeah. And like it follows D&D rules, like where skeletons are more vulnerable, to maces, to blunt weapons.
It's good. So you place the urns in the chamber here, and then the next level down, it's the same enemy loadout, but it's much darker. Your visibility is lower.
When you eventually get to the Chamber of Ashes, this has like dirt floors and dirt walls, and there are corpses everywhere. The Orb of the Undead sits at the center, and the orb is a boss orb.
Yeah.
Orb of the Undead is a boss fight. It's an orb on a pedestal. You hit it, and then every once in a while, it floats up in the air and shoots out waves that raise the undead, and you have to kill all the undead.
Hello, comfort zone.
Yeah, just murder, tappa. Yeah. As these, I love bosses that are just every once in a while are just like, don't hurt me, and they never stay like that.
Yeah, force field.
So dumb.
Yeah,
what's the deal? Yeah, you didn't hit me, miss. Yeah,
you can't triple stamp a double stamp. Yes.
Yeah. But this is pretty easy. It's just fighting. If you can fight a lot of the regular undead, you can fight this. When you beat it, Cam Clark shows up. He's very happy about the end of the undead scourge in the crypt. And we tell him that we found a map on a thief's body, which we did on our way in here. You're just kind of clicking plot things as you move around.
Yeah.
Showing that he came from the sewers to place the orb here on purpose. Which I love that it's treated as a reveal.
It wasn't
like
an
the orb
accident.
didn't just fall on it. Yeah. The orb didn't do it itself.
It's like it's weirdly comforting, actually. They're like, oh, this wasn't from within your ranks. It just happens because you built your crypt next to the sewers.
Yeah, exactly. You fool.
Yeah. You absolute moron. Yeah. So he heads off back to the temple to work with the priest to learn who is behind this. He'll send a messenger along when they know where to go.
Yeah. When we head back up to the tavern, Eloth introduces us to his associate, Jarek, who is from the Harpers.
Oh, yeah.
And you get to just be a Harper, which again, just pressing my buttons here.
Yeah.
There's not like, it doesn't mean very much. And it's real weird. They're just like, you seem good.
Yeah.
You seem good at killing slimes.
Hey, you level 3 player. Why don't we invite you to our, to be a super secret spy with us?
Yeah. But you do it, and it's cool. Player empowerment. I'm a Harper.
Yeah. Yeah. So what they've determined is the orb was placed to cause chaos among the guard to create room for this new guild to operate more freely. basically draw their attention down into the sewers so that the thieves can operate up on the streets. The Harpers have an interest in this new guild, which has popped up. It is using the symbol of a bloody eye, and they're using dark magics that could cause more disruption. So they cannot be allowed to get a foothold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He says there's a door to the Thieves Guild down in the sewers, and we're like, hey, we have this key we picked up. Do you think this is meaningful? And he reawakens the key so we can get in that door. So we have to go back to where Eloth was in jail to get in there. We get another cutscene here of Karn talking to Lord Xantum. He's like, oh, the orb failed. And, failing to recognize that orbs cannot fail. They can only be failed.
Right.
And Karn says, I did not kill the hero. The camera turns to reveal that Xantum is a beholder.
Mm-hmm.
And Xantum is a bad boss. The camera turns to reveal labor issues. As Xantum issues his ultimatum, like, this is your last chance. If you don't stop that meddling hero, I'll kill you myself.
Yes. Now we're in the Thieves Guild. We're fighting humans here. The kind of the main mix is humans who throw daggers at a distance and will attack with knives when they're up close. There are also these little poison pods that are floating around that I cannot identify what monster they're supposed to be.
I couldn't either. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with this and why the Thieves Guild has them.
Right. They're like little plant balloons, and when you attack them, when they die, like their petals open up. Yeah, no idea.
This is also kind of the Sen's Fortress zone, because as you move in, there are more traps,
right,
and stuff. We had a little bit of this in the sewer with like steam pipes, but here they're constructed.
Yeah.
So there'll be like pedestals that fire out these flame bullets at different intervals. So they're just adding complications to the combat and navigation.
There are some chasms down here where you need to do some platforming across them. This is a little puzzly, because when you jump on a platform, all the platforms around it will flicker except for one. You need to notice which one that is and then jump over to that one that didn't flicker, because all the other ones are going to drop away. It's funny that they made this. You can tell that, like, okay, we have jumping, let's throw in a little jumping puzzle here because this way we can show some like fun dungeoneering or whatever. But you can tell in playtesting, people were like, man, it's like really easy to like screw this up. So after every single jump, there's a save point.
Yeah. Also, I like how when you get further down, we find out what the Thieves Guild sinister plot is, which is to breed and make pets of spiders. This is where they keep all their cages of spider friends. So it just allows you with spiders.
Yep, everywhere.
The thieves of the bug world. When you eventually reach Karn, he taunts you and says, like, even if you kill him, his master will kill you. And it's a boss fight. We don't really talk about it. Karn's got spikes, but he's also got a Magneto helmet.
He does.
Yeah, he's a real dork. It's like a leopard print, or it has like a little spider or scorpion on the helmet. It's really dorky.
Yeah.
And this boss fight is very dorky. He throws little knives at you and teleports around.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get up close.
Which it's like somebody was like, let's do a thief boss fight.
Right.
What would a leader of a thieves guild be like as a boss fight? Extremely nerdy little fight.
Yeah. For me, it was just like, what would this boss fight be like? Like, well, I don't know, the magic missile will like home in on him. It's fine.
I just, shot him a bunch.
Right.
And he healed through. They was throwing knives at me. Like, who gives a shit? I just fought a bunch of spiders. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah, he dies.
Right. This gets you down to floor 3, which is kind of the series of challenge rooms. This is cool. I like this. There are these rotating eye statues in these challenge rooms that if they see you, they will start firing a laser, and that will kill you instantly if it touches you. It will never rotate counterclockwise to track you, but you need to like use the cover and also kind of use its blind spot to the advantage to get around and like deactivate them with levers.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah,
again, a little dungeoneering. When you get into the throne room, we meet Lord Xantum. He's incredibly arrogant here, and you can ask him about his evil plan and stuff, but he just does, Tony J villain mustache twirling.
Yes.
And we get our end of act boss fight, which is really tough. This is interesting. Like they made a boss fight in this engine. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
He's much easier up close than further away, because he will rely on his melee attack, and that's true to the Monster's Manual.
Yep.
You know, because beholders will like gnaw on you, and it's not very strong. But he has different spells he'll shoot out that kind of move in different patterns, kind of give you different area denial here. He's also, part of the reason why you probably had a hard time with this is that he's resistant to magic.
Yes.
Enemies that have monsters that have magic resistance in this game take less damage from one of the character classes.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. So yeah, it's kind of like, the makes the sorceress a difficult character in some ways.
Yeah, it makes the rank and file enemies a little bit easier, so it balances out. I never felt like I was screwed by picking the character that I had. But yeah, I think that this is a really fun and good way to design a beholder boss fight, because like you just turn it into a shmup. When you're playing from this top down kind of perspective. So like the fireballs, little scatter shot, like acid arrows will trace you down, and then he fires off ball lightning that'll like strike you if you get too close. Again, this only happens if you're at a distance. Eventually, I believe I figured out that magic wasn't doing me any favor, so I ended up finishing him off with bow and arrow.
Yeah, just getting really close to him. We'll take him out.
Something important about the gear that we forgot to mention in the generalities, but is pretty important. There's no like level or stat requirement for using something. The only like item that you can't equip will be like, there are certain heavy melee weapons that only the dwarf fighter can use. But like, if you find an especially good bow, you can just use that. Like, there's nothing that stops you from it. So that's very kind.
Your stats are all good enough.
Yeah.
Just out of the gate. Like, there's no requirements. Yeah. So, and it's also like weirdly semi-random. Like, it's very rare that you get something that like jumps the curve. But it does mean that like, you're not going to run into that Borderlands problem of like, I'm spec'd for shotgun. I just found a really cool sniper rifle. Fuck me. Like you can just use the shotgun.
Right.
Or you can just use the sniper rifle. When we beat Xantum, Jarrett comes down to check things out a little bit late.
Yeah. Hey.
And there's a map that shows a connection between Baldur's Gate, the Sunset Mountains, and the Sherlimber mines.
Chilimber? Something?
Chilimber?
It's inconsistent whether
Chilimber
there's
marshes?
Yeah.
It wasn't the mines though. That was definitely the wrong thing to say. The marshes. And there's a magical gate, which is what allowed the cult to kind of infiltrate and show up undetected.
Yeah.
And he says, "Hey, walk through that gate, brother."
What if it comes out like in the elemental plane of wine?
What if I die? Well, we've already sent it. We have an agent who we haven't heard from. I'm like, you already have people working on this shit? We can scripting me. Like,
oh geez. But it's like, hey, go through there. This gate will take you to the Sunset Mountains. We need to go figure out. This takes us to Act 2.
They use the same narrator for the act breaks as they have in Baldur's Gate. I don't know the name of that voice actor, but it's very appealing.
Nice.
So yeah, this is the big outdoors biome, basically. We do spend some time inside as well, but this is like wilderness.
Yes.
So we start off in an area called Wind's Walk, which is a mountainside kind of cliffside path where we're introduced to the next level of demi-humans. Baby, we got gnolls, and we got ogres and yetis.
Yes.
And they are very similar. Like, they're still kind of classes of enemy, but everything is slower and hits harder.
Yeah. The gnolls are kind of just the regular humanoids. So they have regular melee and ranged attacks. The yetis are a bit of an issue because they will stand at a distance, surround you, and throw boulders at you. These dealt a shitload of damage. That made this actually a pretty difficult area. I was expecting to warp into the hub, but no, you have a pretty tough step up. Before you can get there.
Yeah. The balance thing for the ogre so much more damage with the yetis with their boulders is that they're slow.
Yes.
The hub we're going to get to is this mining camp. Run to a dwarf named Torigir, flags you down and says, "Hey, what are you doing here?" When we talk to him, he says the drow have chased him out of his mines, And the key to the only tunnel that didn't collapse is with somebody who went to go light the signal fire at the high peak of Burning Eye to signal the other dwarven clans.
Right.
To get help. We are under assault by these drows.
Right. Drow being the dark elf. So we're going to need to get the key to get down there and deal with this problem. This seems to be related. So we're going to be climbing up Burning Eye.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is this area at the base of the mountain where there's a forest. And then it kind of turns into gives way these icy pathways that move upwards.
Mm-hmm.
We're introduced to wolves here, which are constantly moving, like this agility enemy, melee enemy. That's annoying. And then when we get to the upper part, there's more gnolls and yeti.
Yeah. This time the yeti throwing snowballs at you. And this is different from the boulders because the snowballs will freeze you and slow you down.
Yeah. Yep. Which is a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually we get to the summit up here, which is full of ice caves. And we have a new kind of wolf, snow wolf.
They're white, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you to a crossroads, and there are two different areas off to the side. The way forward is, I believe, blocked at this point. You have kind of the east and the west summit area. You can go into the ice cave here at the central part, and you will talk to a dwarf. This is Colgrim. He says the dwarf who had the key was the one who led the party up to the top to light the signal fire. The problem is that dwarf is probably dead because Colgrim here is mortally wounded. The person with the key was frozen into a block of ice because there is an ice dragon. There's a white dragon in play. So we need to go and collect some doodads. You have to get the fuel from him. You have to get the tinder and from another area and the steel from another area to light the signal fire to thaw that dwarf to get the key.
Yeah. Pretty silly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an adventurer. Like, you can just like take adventurer's tools as a starting thing for very little weight, and that has a little, flint and stuff. It's fine.
Should be able to start a fire.
It's
also,
not
you were
special
a sorceress.
It's not special dwarf
hands.
fire. Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Yeah, I could shoot fire arrows.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a little split place. The east summit takes you onto a lake. Where you get the torch. The west summit is this maze of walkways full of yetis.
Yes.
Who are constantly slowing you, like with snowballs. And eventually we find the dwarf with the flint at the end of this.
Right.
Before making our way up to the peak.
Mm-hmm. The pathway up to the peak is covered with ball lightning. This is a spell that you can eventually cast later as a sorcerer. These balls of lightning will shock you when you get near, so you're kind of avoiding them as you're passing along. The tricky part is it gets really stick in places.
Yeah. When you get up and light the fire, the frozen dwarf slumps over so you can get the key. And in the distance, the white dragon wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
The signal fire was the alarm clock.
Not quite
We head back
yet.
to Torigor. Yeah, not quite yet. The Torigor, when we go back to him, he's sad that nobody from the signal fire expedition lived, but he does give you the key.
Yes.
He's like, hey, if you want to go clear out the mines of Drow, I'm not going to stop you.
It's your funeral. They're Drow.
Yeah.
They have like really powerful gear.
Have you ever seen a Drider?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Yeah, so
And that's what they do to people that they like. Wait, no, it's a punishment for apostates. Fuck.
Well, yeah. But it is kind of an honor, right? Because you have to serve the matriarch or whatever.
I suppose it's a way for you to get back in the good graces. It's been too long since I read those books. I don't like the idea of being turned into a spider person. It's
weird,
scary. It's
weird.
Weird.
Flex, Cole.
Okay. I admit I do not want to spend eternity serving Lolth. All right.
Ooh,
look at me.
Look at the big boy here.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to become a Drider.
Like he has a choice in the matter.
I'm gonna human Drider pee the fuck out of you, dude. I'm gonna.
It'd be a good prank.
Yeah. I'm gonna prompt you into a Drider.
I wake up on the ceiling. Ah, fuck.
Yeah, I got Dridered. So if I ever learn how to sew, you better watch out.
Oh man,
I guess I need a giant spider too. There's lots of little spiders.
Yeah,
and I'll figure it out, like a Halloween decoration or something.
Yeah, it'll be fine. So, The top level here, it starts out with some rats, and you think, okay, I can deal with this. But once you get past the light, you find drow, who tend to be pretty powerful. They fire crossbow bolts from a distance. The spellcasting ones come later. Drow are tough.
Yeah, drow are really tough. The layout here is very sprawling as well. Yeah. It's hard to kind of find your way. The goal is we have to find these gears at the end of these spokes in order to repair the elevator that leads downward. Just a dungeon task. Yeah. Once we've done so, we get to the second level, which has narrower walkways and some more pitfalls. Here and there are things we can fall into.
These pitfalls really screw me up.
Yeah,
I would just be going along like, okay. But I don't know that needs to be in a game like this, actually.
No, because paying attention is kind of counter to what this game is. Like, you want to get into kind of a flow state, in this.
Yeah.
You do not want to, have to stop and scrutinize the field.
I need to run forward. Don't stop me. Let me run forward. Down here is where they start throwing in the mages. And there are also drow lizard riders tooling around. The lizard riders just kind of seem to be HP sponges more so than anything. I never noticed them being that much quicker than the other ones, but they were there.
Yeah. So eventually we get down into the drow underworld, making our way down, and we fight Umber Hulks. Yay!
Yeah.
Weird mind control spider confusion things. And the caves here are more like narrow and natural. Yes. So it's the same enemies, but this is like where they haven't built it up. This is like where, the actual caves were before they showed up.
Yes. And you meet somebody down here, the drow priestess who's kind of leading this expedition, Ilvara, who is standing in her outpost camp, taunting you. If you are the elf, you are a surface elf, and you get special dialogue with her. And of course, she is dressed like a "Come play my lord."
She's dressed like the end boss of Battletoads a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's got that like Battletoads gimp, like sexy dom gimp suit.
Why not? That tracks.
Classic outfit of the group. She says, the drow aren't here trying to take over the surface cities, that they don't have any interest in that. They were promised, the surface cities were promised to others.
Right.
She wouldn't say who. They just want the mines.
Which is funny because you just want more underground. Like, you already have all of the underground.
Nobody wants this, dude. I mean, I got like the dwarves want it, but who gives a shit about those guys?
Oh, geez. It's a tough fight. Ilvara will teleport around. She will fire spells and summon skeletons. So this is like a mixture of a couple of different previous boss fights, actually. The real trick though comes because if you do too much damage to her, she will put up a magic shield, forcing you to go and deal with somebody else while she's turtled up.
Pretty classic kind of thing here. Once we take her out, we take a key, we find that on her body, and there's a dwarf named Brogan who's there. He's also a harper. He was the one who was sent to keep an eye on the mountains, who was captured, that we were sent by, what's his head? Harper 1.
Somebody we're never going to talk to again.
That guy. Linear game. So things were, what he tells us is that things were stirring with the gnolls and ogres, and then the dragon appeared.
Right.
So whatever is going on, the dragon is pretty high up in this conspiracy, and the gate to the marshes is in his cave. So we have to go fight the dragon.
Right. He marks off the cave's location on the map. Says, hey, we need to go past the dark forest here, and the horn that she found on the priestess's body will open the way. So cool. We have what we need. We could have, we could head toward the dark forest, but we would not be able to get in there without the horn before. The forest itself is just a wide open area. There are a few valid ways through it, a couple of different pathways. There are a few areas like this where you can just kind of quickly make a beeline toward the end. It's a little bit of a risk reward or trade-off, whether you want to go adventuring to get loot that may be in caches in places off the beaten path.
Yeah. Do you want to clear the level or do you want to beat the level?
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to get all the stuff? The enemy mix here is mostly gnolls. It's not a whole lot of new stuff here. When we eventually get to the ice sheet and blow the horn, this opens the door into the ice cave. And then this is here's the subversion. Here's the trick. You gave me a heads up about this in advance, which was nice.
Yeah.
All the best weapons we can find, buy from the camp, from the hub area, are frost weapons. Right. And then the final area is an ice cave where everyone is resistant to frost.
Yeah. I felt like a jackass thinking like, oh, I'm going to get ahead of the power curve. I'll buy all these big ticket items. I'll use all of my coupons at the arcade to get the Huffy. Turns out the Huffy though, does 0 damage to this dragon.
Yeah. You can't hit the dragon with a Huffy.
No.
The way I got past this was, not buying the things and then also using fire arrows.
Yeah. Burning hands is good in this. It's almost like a flamethrower. Which works in your favor when stuff is like rushing up at you. So like it's a little bit lower spell. I think by this point I was using lightning. It hadn't upgraded to chain lightning at that point, but I like fell back down to fire spells. I found fireball itself to be really unwieldy. You can deal damage to yourself. It's kind of like firing a rocket launcher, but you don't have the precise aim that you have when you're firing the bow and arrow. So I found myself killing myself more often than the enemies I intended to when using fireball.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, especially when enemies run directly at you. So.
Yeah. But on the plus side, displacer beasts.
Oh yeah. I like that the displacer beasts get their own little introduction cutscene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is great, and they're cool. They're mechanically cool. Mm-hmm. They're invisible when they sneak up on you, but they'll make ripples in the water, so you can see them when they're on water. They try to get behind you.
Yeah. Oh, they're good. Like that's not specifically how displacer beasts work, but it works good in this engine.
Yeah. Yep. It's more like a moon dog.
So the second floor of this area is really massive. They start throwing in frost giants here, and then also frost spiders, including one gigantic one, making things substantially more difficult. Frost giants basically end up being mini bosses along the way.
Yeah, and this is kind of the fulcrum in which the game starts doing this.
Yeah,
where there'll just be like a big enemy that is like a huge HP kind of sponge, and they just throw them in a lot. Yeah, we're making our way down to the third floor here to fight our dragon, Syraxis. This is also really tough. This is kind of the opposite of our Xantum fight, where with Xantum you wanted to be close. With Syraxis you want to be far away.
Oh wow, I found that to be the opposite.
I was getting torn up by the melee like attacks from Syraxis. Like my whole thing was waiting for him to do the ice breath, being at kind of like a 45-degree angle off and peppering him with arrows.
Gotcha.
While dodging because he constantly stomps on the ground and makes snowballs fall down like a DuckTales boss. But that's how I ended up taking him out.
Yeah.
Every time I got close to him, I got fucked.
Yeah. No matter how far away I got from him, I couldn't find the right distance to get him to stop using the ice breath on me. And the ice breath would just chew through my HP. And it would also slow you, which makes it more difficult to dodge incoming ice boulders that are coming along. So like, I would wait for him. I would goad him into starting the breath, hope that I was like past the edge of where it would start as he was doing it, and then like get up close onto the side and like be to the side and behind him. If I was to the side and at a distance, he would just turn to shoot me.
Yeah. He's pretty maneuverable.
Yeah.
He like flies and readjusts himself quite a bit.
Yeah, and he'll fly around and drop more boulders when he's up there. It's a hard fight. Like it's pretty climactic actually, as a dragon fight should be.
Yeah, I absolutely. So tough. Once we get past him, though, there's a gate in the back of his chamber, and we need to take that to the marsh for the final act.
The third act, where the game falls over for me, the play gets less fun here, and less interesting to me.
Yeah, I don't think this is as fun. And Act 2 was also a step down.
Yeah.
A little bit to me. There are cool things in it, but I miss the city.
Same.
You know? Yeah, this is not nearly as good. And this chapter is the one where you're constantly asking monsters to watch you while you sleep. Like, is it just like it's a normal thing to say? Like, it can be the second thing you say to somebody, like, I'm going to take a rest. Would you mind watching me? It made me think about the Cinco sleep nap, like the sleepwatcher thing where you get to watch your friend sleep in the chair. It was like that. Like, you're just constantly running into monsters and being like, hey, do me a solid. Make sure nothing attacks me. Like, what are they going to do?
I need to catch some
one of them's a ghost. Yeah, it's real dumb. Like, moving us this far away from the hub is just silly. It's just not as interesting. And then also the NPC character we run into here sucks.
Yes.
Anytime we're running into lizard men.
Not my favorite, actually.
Yeah, not into lizard men.
No.
Yeah, the too many S's thing. You know, their whole S thing. They love S's.
Yeah. The only lizard man I like is the Spider-Man villain.
Yeah, the lizard.
Yeah.
You know,
he was a scientist.
Lizard.
Come on.
Yeah. Trying to get his arm back through lizard regeneration. Kirk Connors.
Yeah.
So we start off in the Sunken Chapel, which is just a small skeleton dungeon. Just to give you a little skeleton ambush on your way.
The dungeon is small. The skeletons are regular size.
Yes. Yeah. I wish they were small skeletons. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you pretty much just start here. You walk out into the surface up to Adderspine Road, where the lizardmen fight you like right when you emerge. One of my problems with this is it basically feels functionally identical to the Drow. It's just a reskin of the humanoid enemy who could be an archer, a melee, or a mage, and that's also a problem in tabletop. Right? Like a lizard man is basically an orc, is basically just a gnoll.
Like way worse flavor.
Yes.
Than there could have been. Like lizard men are just like swamp orcs in D&D mythology. And like, that's not that interesting. And drow are more interesting than both of them.
Yes. Yeah. So, but Adderspine Road, it's this long area. There are and there's no safe space to recall to. Like you're eventually going to meet your NPC and kind of get to your hub area. But one thing that ends up being true about most of this chapter is that like they take away the part of the loop where you go back to a safe spot to sell stuff.
Yeah, which is a big part of the fun. Yeah. Like I'm here to watch numbers go up, and that number includes like my amount of money because I want to save up for cool toys.
Yes.
Like that is the gamer treat that you have dangling in front of me. Don't take it away.
Please don't.
And also, other than lizard men, we're still just fighting zombies and stuff. Like we're doing a lot of old monsters here. Yes. And then we meet Slavis. Slavis sucks.
Yeah.
I hate this guy.
Yeah.
He's a lizard man. He uses magic on you to make him understand what he says, but he can't use magic to get rid of his weird like lizard speech. And then he's the first guy you ask to watch you sleep.
And he admits to manipulating you. Like he hasn't just cast a spell on you, to translate or whatever. Like he has shaped the swamp to guide you to him.
Yeah. Which should be your first clue. This guy's not on the up and up.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
But you talk to him and he explains kind of what's going on here in the swamp and why things are pretty rough. This onyx tower appeared in the swamp one day, and all of the tribes of lizards got corrupted by it. They kind of turned into servants of whatever force was inside. Slavis is the only one left who has control over himself, as he says. When you ask him what's inside this, I love the line that he gives here. Within the tower is a spider of doors, bones, and death. The spider wears the snake skin of a female, a human. She has great power, terrible anger, yet she has bones and hate only, with no blood body. She rose from the marsh after dying beneath its waters.
Yep. It's the person who has captained this Dark Alliance.
Yes.
Finally. So the tribes are being agitated. Like they're being given weapons and gold to attack human cities. Like the CIA stepped in to try to destabilize them. Slavis, will talk to you. He says like, well, I'll help you bring down this tower. It can be found beyond this drowned human city, which is now occupied by my old tribe, by my old boss, who's a real dick. So head on over.
Right. There's an eastern portion of Adderspine Road. It's pretty much just an open swamp with lizardman casters. open swamp as compared to the kind of winding one that we were in before. We're going to rattle through a lot of these areas pretty quick because there's not an awful lot to say about them.
Yeah. We're fighting lizard men.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're casters. So we go through the crown, Shilimber's crown, which is this flooded town. It's walkways between these rooftops, which is a cool image. Walking over a flooded swamp, fighting lizard men. Then we go to the keep exterior, in which there are more lizard men, and then to the keep interior, where there are lizard men plus umber hulks.
Yeah.
Also, kobolds are on loan.
Notable, we have fought all of them before.
Collection.
Yeah.
Yes. There aren't that many. You need a higher enemy variety for this to be like an all-time classic banger.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that there are no tough encounters. Umber hulks will surprise you. They will do a ton of damage. It feels like they are scaled up here compared to what they were before. So I died a couple of times and I felt like it was my fault, but it's still just enemies that we fought before, and you deal with most enemies the same way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Including the boss.
Yep.
Here.
Sesseth.
We got many S's. 4. He's in the innermost chamber. And he has a little mask on his necklace.
Mask.
Scary.
It's a face. He took somebody's face off and made it into a necklace.
It looks like a mask to me. It doesn't look like it looks like it's made of stone.
Oh, okay.
I have the bosses running in the background just to remind me because they can be pretty samey.
Yeah.
But your idea is definitely cooler. I hope you are right.
It's like the idea that you're real naive. It's just a mask,
just sleeping.
Right? What's coming out of his ears?
Sleeping.
Raspberry jam.
Yeah. They're just sleeping upside down and inside out. But this is just like a fighter duel.
Yes.
This is not that different from the Bugbear Chieftain, except way harder. Hits way harder. You want to get behind him.
Yeah.
In a general sense. But he will kind of trot up to you. It is difficult.
Yeah.
This ended up heel tanking through a lot of this.
Same. Yeah. It's pretty high risk because the best way to get around him is to bait him and do an attack animation. But if you are not canny with stepping out of the way, you're going to get hit. And I don't know how much more HP you had than me, but it was an emergency when I got hit, even if I was at full health.
Yeah, more, but not that much more.
Right.
So yeah, this was tough. We go back and we talk to Slavis and say we killed his shitty old boss. And he says that you're going to need to pass through the rotting bog and the sinking temple to get to the Onyx Tower. We're doing a little the adjective noun.
Yeah.
Here. We find out this marsh that's here formed when somebody opened a portal to the elemental plane of water.
Oops.
In the temple. That's a big oopsie doodle.
Yeah. They'll wipe out of town for sure. It's not like all of the water's going to come out. That's never going to run out is the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the rotting bog is full of undead, which makes sense. But then we also have there's a bullet.
Yeah, the Boulet.
Yay!
Yeah,
Boulet. Yeah, Robert Boulet.
Yeah, they I like these because these these emerge from the water or from the mud, so they can kind of they'll pop out and surprise you and kind of get around you. If you don't remember what a Boulet is, go listen to Monster My Podcast. It's a good show. But these are these are rhinos. They charge at you.
Yeah, land shark rhino.
Yeah,
kind of things. We eventually get to the sinking temple. Here, this is another medium-sized dungeon on the way. This one's full of minotaurs, who charge you. But again, go back to earlier to hear about the turning radius of these monsters.
Yeah, it's all minotaurs here. They're not mixed up. They will get mixed up with other stuff later in a much worse dungeon.
No, when we find Slavis, who's standing near a whirling portal of water. This is something called the water stair, and it's a portal to the elemental plane of water that we can use to reach the interior of the tower with Slavis's omnipotence.
Yeah, basically
his all-purpose magic.
Yeah, he'll give you the ability to navigate the plane of water briefly as you go through the portals and stuff like that to get into the interior of the Onyx Tower, which sucks. I hate this so fucking much, Gary.
Yeah, this is pretty obnoxious, man.
Yeah.
This is really annoying. Games don't know. We talked about this a lot. Don't always know how to end,
right?
How to ramp up challenge appropriately. And I think that a lot of times games, for fear of being too easy at the end, will make things too tedious and obnoxious.
Yes. So this is like an attempt at doing a big prestige dungeon, it feels like. But like they take away a whole system. You can't warp out. So there's no buying supplies. To offset this, there are like tons of potions around and arrows, like more so than you would find in other places. However, like that's not enough.
Yeah.
Like it ends up being a real problem. I found myself kiting enemies around, waiting for my HP regen to give me enough so I could like potentially take a hit in my turn to fight.
I bought that intestinal fortitude,
Same.
which I had like previously been putting off, but I was like, I need that to regen.
Yeah.
Because they took away one of the big systems. It also is a powerful demotivator in terms of like stuff to look forward to.
Yeah.
Like it's fun to go back to the shop and see what new is on offer. Like check out what you can afford. Like it's a big part of the fun of these games.
And also like it makes picking up a weapon, even if I'm not going to use it, like it still has a value to me, right? Here though, like at no point can you warp away to sell stuff to get supplies or what have you. So if you pick something up that is not something you're going to use, that is just a waste of space. Like you just you just need to drop that. So like you also get rid of the looting aspect of this as well.
Yeah, it's a big bummer. It also doesn't help that a bunch of the enemies here are pretty obnoxious.
I fucking hate the gargoyles, Gary. They're so bad.
Yeah, they suck. These things suck.
So they're incredibly durable. Like no enemy this size should take this many hits. And also like I found them to be like their hitbox to feel like almost glitchy. They're small and they're flying at you, and just attacks would go right through them, and they go right directly at you and deal a ton of damage. So I would just be going, and then I would see my health, my health draining, and realize, a gargoyle got at me. He's like right there. I just couldn't see him, and I couldn't attack him. And there's nothing I can do except for like hope I can get enough distance between. And there are tons of them.
Yeah, they're really spammed.
Yeah.
One of the things too that happens in this game that's kind of a bummer that isn't immediately obvious is that it actually is making 2-hit calculations for you. So you can get skills that will increase your chance to hit. Like you can miss with ranged weapons because your THAC0 or whatever isn't good enough.
Right.
Your 30 uses a rough version of the 3rd edition D&D rules.
Right.
So later when enemies have higher armor classes, like it wasn't for me, I was also missing them, but I don't think it's their hitbox is glitchy. I think their armor class is really high.
Holy shit. I didn't realize so like you have no skills that govern that when you are a sorceress. Yeah.
So yeah, as the your weapons will, but nothing with your spells or whatever. I don't know if you have to roll to attack with spells in 3rd edition, but the with the archer, up until this point, I had felt really safe ignoring the better chance to hit.
Right.
Skills, because everything was pretty easy to hit.
Yeah, I felt like
and now all of a sudden
modeled.
I was missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I was missing, so I was like, "Fuck, man."
Yeah,
and then I looked it up online as to what was happening.
I had no idea that there was dice rolling happening in this for anything except for damage. Wow. Yeah, no, so that's definitely what was happening with these things. Because I mean, like in the tabletop system, gargoyles, they've got stone skin. Like they they have really high damage checks to hit them at really high AC.
Yeah. Well, and on in a more modern video game, they would show this different to you, like semiotically, like your attacks would bounce off or something, and that would show you. But like because video games, it's so hard to tell what's intentional and what's a glitch.
Yeah,
it's really. Sometimes it's hard to know what is supposed to happen in a video game.
Yeah.
So
issues.
They brought some buddies.
Yeah.
They have some bronze golems as well who shoot a ray out of their forehead.
They have a poison light.
Yep. Just really bright.
Oh, geez. So, I mean, and the levels here are massive. Very maze-like as well. You are finding like there is worthwhile equipment to be found. Like you're going to get a couple of upgrades on the way up this thing. But it always feels like it feels like it costs an awful lot to look around to find them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause you're can't resupply.
Right. So that was the basement. The level 1, the first floor of the tower here. You swap out the gargoyles for minotaurs. Thank God.
Yeah.
They're larger, easier to spot, easier to hit, things like that. But then the gargoyles come back for floor 2.
Yep, they're back, baby. Gargoyles famously on neither, they love the lowest floor of a thing and then the middle floor,
Yes.
staying far away from the highest floor. Gargoyles. The second floor, we got Gargs, and then we have the Iron Golem, who swings his sword like a spinning blade around you.
Yeah.
So you gotta watch out for that. And the third floor adds another golem, the gigantic golem, who has this huge overhead swing, which will basically one-shot you.
Yep.
I was a little bit more hardy than that, but they still did tons of damage. Like I had to avoid this.
And also like that, the animation for that attack basically fires immediately. You can't tell when it is like getting ready to do that. There's no telegraphing. So you would just be like kind of vaguely in front of this thing, even at a range, and just thump. Well, shit, your adventure's over. Reload? Well, I fucking guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Obnoxious.
Yeah. But beyond this, toward the upper levels here, you get to a specially named floor, the Black Forge. This is where the golems are being made. There are kind of all kinds of furnaces around here. And, the idea is that the upper part of this tower is linked to the plane of fire.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is cool. Like elemental planes are neat.
I love it.
In this. I like the idea of that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So spiders are back. And then we also have fire methods, which are just like little goblins.
Yeah,
shoot fire at you.
little fire goblins through fireballs. It's fine.
Yeah, little buds. When we get to the end, there's a gigantic onyx golem as kind of a boss here, who generally walks around and tries to stomp you.
Yeah. I'm the bug now, dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way that works, right?
Yeah, it worked. Worked for me.
Yeah. But past the forge here, you get to the final floor, the Hall of Remembrance, which is pretty much just story and final boss. This is very obviously like restocking you for a final boss, for a climactic encounter. There are ghosts around. They're mostly just walking in random directions. You cannot interact with them. And you're going around breaking apart these crates that are full of potions.
Yeah. Until you find another monster, Celadon, who is going to watch you sleep.
Yeah. He's a friendly ghost.
He's a friendly ghost. He explains that all these ghosts around here used to be soldiers of the Westering Sun, which was a military unit. They were slain by treachery in battle.
Yes. Celadon is actually the husband of the elf spirit who sings in the elf song. He mentions her offhand, and you can tell him like, oh yeah, no, she's suffering too. She's singing for you.
Yeah. Well, shit.
Damn it.
Can you pass her a note? I don't know.
Yeah.
This tower was raised by the vengeful spirit of Eldrith, one of the original protectors of Baldur's Gate.
Right. She led the army of the Westering Sun to fight the Black Horde, basically to near complete defeat. And she had this opportunity to land this death blow against that force of orcs and demi-humans and whatnot. But the rulers of Baldur's Gate would not provide more troops for this to happen, which caused Eldrith to lead the attack anyway. When she got in trouble, basically when you corner somebody, they fight harder, actually.
Yeah.
And when she got in trouble, she sent for reinforcements, and they didn't send any. And she viewed this as a betrayal.
Orders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she saw this as such a betrayal that she led a small force to try to attack Baldur's Gate. They were fought back to the marsh, and they were finished off here.
Right.
So now, she is this weird vengeance elemental.
Yeah.
This undead critter who plots to take over the city with a dark alliance, and has merged with the tower to make these engines of war, powered by all these planes to take down the city.
Right. If we kill Eldrith, our buddy Celadon will be freed. The elf song lady will be freed. Probably killing that business, actually.
Yeah.
So that's good. They're gonna have to start paying the talent now, which sucks.
Yeah, someone else will sing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's no longer an internship or a contest.
Right. or like a conscript, where just like, oh, there happens to be a ghost that we built this place around.
It seems like, I mean, it's prime real estate.
It is, yeah.
You know, up until that, like they really made lemonade out of lemons with that.
Yeah,
because people had to sleep there. Like it seems like it'd be scary.
Yeah,
to have the ghost singing
but
there.
It's soothing. It's fine. Yeah, she's not a banshee. Yeah. But most importantly, Baldur's Gate, the city, will be safe from this undead army of elementals and golems and stuff like that.
We forgot one thing when we were sent in here. Slaya said that like once we go in, it's a one-way trip. Like we destroy the tower and we'll be trapped inside.
Yep.
So that there's our pathos. When we talked to her, she just looks like a warrior lady.
Yeah.
You know, she taunts you, but basically just goes on and on about how jilted she was by this betrayal. You know, Baldur's Gate will remember her forever. They'll regret their betrayal, and we get a fight with her, the final boss fight.
And it's a fine final boss fight. Like nothing too special. I think that like the best boss fight in this game is definitely the Baldur, right? But this will suffice. It's pretty uneventful. If you want, I found that staying close to her was a big benefit, because her melee attack did not deal as much damage as her sword throw. Her sword throw would do me in. So you need to stay in close, and do enough damage until it started phase 2.
Yes, where she stops, lightning strikes her, and she grows and becomes big.
Yeah, she doesn't become gigantic. Like it's not like the end of God of War.
She's tall.
Yeah, like she grows by like 20%. Like maybe she would hit her head on a doorway.
She eventually grows into kind of like hill giant size. You know, but the first grow is just like, what if a tall person?
What if a tall woman?
It's very funny. Yeah. It's real good. And it actually makes her easier. Again, for me, it was all this turning radius.
Yeah.
I would just kind of stay close to her and do tight corners. Jesus Christ. Turn into corners around her. And she would have to take these wide turns to try to catch up with me. So it's easy to kind of flank her.
Yeah.
When she dies, she repents.
Yeah. She says, you know, I see the error of my ways now. And this is a real kind of hint that maybe she was not the absolute monster that we were led to believe. And she dissolves in a bunch of light. The only option that you have as the tower begins to shatter around you is to go through another one of these obsidian gates, which teleports you away and starts the ending cutscene.
Yes. During this ending cutscene, we find Slavis there. And he talks, he's like, talking to his master, like, oh, I've gotten rid of the hero. Now you're free.
Yeah.
I've taken out the hero. The hero is taking care of Eldrith. The tower is gone. The Harpers are out of the way. Let's get going. And our characters pop out in the middle of this dark forest surrounded by these shadows. And then it says, that is a tale for another time.
Yes.
And that other time is Dark Alliance 2.
Yeah. Your character is captured by a vampire lord, and the other characters are conscripted by the Harpers to go rescue you, at least at the start.
Yeah, Vampire Lord. Cool.
That game sounds fun. I don't know that I would be liable to start it up right now, just because I've got other stuff to play for fun. But like, yeah, this is good. Even when it started running out of steam toward the end, like, this kind of game is good every once in a while, and this is a good one of this kind of game.
It's a sometimes treat. It's one of those things where if it were 20% longer, no,
good night.
You know, very frustrating. 20% shorter would be better. You know, but as is, it's like, wow, this kind of hit the spot.
Yeah.
I'm interested in being engaged again, so I'm looking forward to putting Dragon Age 2 in this behind me.
Yeah.
You know, and just kind of, but for end of 2020, let's all take a nap.
Shit, dude. Yeah,
you know,
let's take a nap with a controller in your hands. Just tap idly.
Yeah, I'm done. You know.
Yeah.
And you know, the right game at the right time has been the winter theme.
Yeah,
with us,
and I'm ready.
You know, that's December.
I've started doing Obra Dinn. That's the next big game next game we're covering, and that is engaging in a satisfying way. It's nice to wake up that part of my brain a little bit. But yeah, this is good. I just wish it was more consistent throughout.
Yeah. It's weird how like it feels like they didn't quite understand what the appeal was completely. And that might be something that changed from the context of when this game came out to now.
Yeah.
You know, like at the time this came out, the main appeal might have just been the visuals and just the hack and slash, like the quote unquote, like the action.
Yeah.
You have this, but the action is actually pretty stiff and slight, you know, in reality. The appeal of this to me was almost as like a clicker, like was watching numbers go up, you know, as a meritocracy simulator kind of thing. You know, like, oh, I'm just good. You know, I just keep putting the time in this. My character will just get more and more powerful. That feels good. That was literally it. And then taking that away in the final strut, you know, you still gain levels, but by that point I gained most of the abilities I wanted. Getting a level was not nearly as fun. And by cutting off the equipment part, it's just a big bummer.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like it was maybe just, you know, for the time that was maybe more impressive.
Yeah.
How it ended.
Yep. Fortunately, the genre evolved, you know, like it just, this became its own thing. The action RPG, you know, didn't stop here. So yeah. Happy we decided to do this one.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's very hard to find, you know, games that will fit into one episode of this show that are still kind of Western RPG adjacent. RPGs are long.
They are.
So thanks everybody for listening. Thank you for patronizing us.